Everybody keeps saying that California's housing market is frozen. Nobody can afford a house. Nobody's actually out there buying. And everything is effectively way too expensive. But that's really only half the story because California doesn't have one bad or challenging housing market. It actually has two completely separate markets. One is still incredibly competitive. There's limited inventory, buyers are bringing in huge down payments. And the other is where you have buyers negotiating, getting seller credits, finding opportunities that we haven't been able to see in years. So today I want to get into what's actually happening between these two markets, why the headlines that you're reading are a little bit misleading, and how to figure out which of these two markets actually gives you the best opportunity. But before we get into that, my name is Arjun Dhingra. I'm a mortgage banker of 25 years, most of them spent right here in the Bay Area. We have looked at tens of thousands of profiles for buyers and helped thousands of families get into homes or buy investment property here in this state and others. And if we can be of any help to you, whether you're trying to put together a strategy or make this more of an immediate reality, you can reach out to me directly on Instagram at Arjun Mortgage. Me and my team would be honored to help you. And also please check any of the links in the description for resources that'll be helpful to you regardless of what stage you're at. Okay, so I said here at the onset of the video that we've got two housing markets going on here in the state of California. So let's get into the first one. Okay, so first we have what I refer to as the coastal freeze. You've got the general Bay Area at large, Silicon Valley, Marin, Orange County, San Diego, and coastal Los Angeles. Now, in all of these markets, inventory remains extremely tight. Many of the homeowners are still sitting on interest rates ranging from 2 to 4%. Prop 13 continues to reward people for staying put. All of those high income earners that work in those markets are supporting these higher prices. And AI wealth and stock compensation is continuing to flow in at a record clip. So if you owned a home, say for 10 years as an example, and you have a 2.75% mortgage, why would you sell? Your payment might double just from moving across town. You'd end up buying a home that is much more expensive, not much bigger, and now you're also gonna have more expensive property taxes. So it doesn't make a lot of sense for people to make that move. And so many buyers keep asking me, Arjun, how come prices are not falling? Simple answer, there just aren't enough homes available. And let me tell you guys what I feel is the biggest mistake. Most buyers just assume that higher rates somehow lead to lower prices and more options. Now, historically speaking, I should put an asterisk on this, that was true. But this has been one of the most unique and standalone housing market cycles that's ever existed. Because yes, mortgage rates became elevated a few years ago and have stayed up at those levels. And if we look back at history, you would see that that would result in more inventory hitting the market and prices actually coming down. But that just hasn't happened simply because of supply and demand. The demand for housing remains very high here in the United States. People are coming into wealth, they're making better money, they're receiving large gifts from family or inheritance, and they want to put it into an asset class like real estate, especially in these markets here where I mentioned the coastal freeze. So you've got these very high levels of demand and supply is just not keeping up. Now I talked a little bit about why that is. Many people feel locked in because of Prop 13. They don't want to sell their house and pay much higher property taxes. They're sitting on a really good interest rate, or that property just gets passed down to another family member through inheritance, so it never actually hits the market. So large and increasing numbers of buyers hitting the market, very little supply being affected at all. If anything, it stays the same or actually gets worse. No new construction really happening in a lot of these markets that we talked about here on the coast. And that is one of the California markets. So now let's talk about the other side. And I call this the inland boom. Taking a look at markets like Sacramento, the Central Valley, parts of Riverside, the Inland Empire, and effectively the markets where new construction communities are springing up. Basically, guys, just think of markets where there's a lot more space to actually build, unlike the cities we talked about in the first market example. So in these markets, inventory has actually improved because builders of new construction are offering great incentives. They're able to package those products to be able to move them by offering really low interest rates with their in-house mortgage providers, bonuses on upgrades, and the ability for you to kind of customize this house how you'd like it. Seller credits have returned. Negotiation is a word that we can finally use in this market. Buyers basically have choices, guys. And this means now that $500,000 to $800,000 has actually become one of the healthiest price points in the state. Now, this is where some of the best loan products in the market can actually be put to work, because those buyers that are using a VA loan, an FHA loan, or a conventional 5% down mortgage product, they can compete in these markets. The price points fit those products perfectly. The competitive landscape is actually set up to where somebody who is putting down a smaller down payment or using one of these unique programs, it's not really frowned upon or shunned. And so this is a very healthy market. And it's actually the second one that's taking place here in the state of California. But here is where people start making very expensive mistakes. And I want to talk about interest rates, because this is the thing that most consumers, and you as a buyer or someone that's curious about real estate, are probably obsessing over. And it's not your fault that you're doing that. It's because society and the way the housing market's kind of always gone, it's trained you to think that that's the most important variable to focus on. But let's look at these two markets that we've talked about here in the video. Same interest rate, different price points, completely different payments. Whatever the rate might be, and let's just use 6.5% as an example. For a $1.2 million house is obviously going to have a much larger payment attached to it than if it was applied to a $500,000 house in the other market. But it's completely different affordability. When you talk about insurance, taxes, maintenance costs, HOA dues potentially, utilities, everything scales higher with higher price points. So it's not that a 6.5 mortgage rate is actually hurting you. It's a 6.5 rate on a $1.2 million house that actually hurts. Now, this is why I tell clients all the time, and if you follow me on other social media channels, particularly on Instagram, I'm constantly giving this advice to home buyers, and that is to stop focusing on interest rates. I'll say it one more time. Stop focusing on interest rates and instead focus on that purchase price, but more importantly, focus on the monthly payment. Stop asking what our rate's going to be and start asking where this monthly payment is going to fit into my life. So now let's get into something that nobody's talking about, which is why buyers are moving inland. Look, we already know that COVID changed everything and it allowed for more hybrid work. So there's a lot of people that are no longer having to come in every single day into their office and commute. So this remote work or hybrid work model is allowing people to grow their families, have more space, increase their quality of life, take advantage of new schools, better amenities, more safety, even lower payments. And that's the trade-off, guys. Would you rather have a 45-minute commute to come in a couple of days a week versus taking a housing expense that's $4,000 higher? And when you run the numbers on both and you see, it's very clear to say that sometimes buying further out will help you build more equity and allow you to return closer to the city later if you wanted to. And guys, life changes, so nothing is a state of permanence. If you choose to live further out, or like we've talked about here in this video, that second California market, which is people who move more inland. And if they commute to a city or an urban center a couple of days a week or every so often, buying out inland or choosing to actually put down roots there can help you create more equity. And if you wanted to move back into the urban area later after you've made some money, you can totally do that. Okay, so now let's talk strategy for people. And here's the 2026 playbook for buyers. First of all, stop waiting for this market crash. It's just never gonna happen. There are idiots out there, and I mean idiots with a capital I, who have been calling for a market crash since COVID happened here in California. And everyone is continuing to laugh at these people while they have paint on their face. So don't wait for a statewide crash, but rather buy where you can comfortably afford. Just getting on the property ladder and recognizing the fact that whatever you buy is not gonna be your forever home. It's not the home you're gonna die in. It's going to be a stepping stone, something you'll build equity in, take some tax advantage of, and then roll that into something else, or build your portfolio around it. Now for move-up buyers, you wanna use today's equity because if you haven't checked recently, US homeowners are sitting on a record level of actual equity. This is because of appreciation rates having been so healthy over the last 10 years and also amortization, meaning people who have paid down their actual mortgage balances. But if you are looking to move up, you want to use the existing equity you have. Don't wait too long because all of this IPO activity, which is only just beginning, but is having a massive ripple effect into housing, is only going to drive prices higher. Now, if you're an investor, you want to be looking for markets where there is significant population growth, employment expansion, infrastructure, future demand, even concentrations of tech and AI. Now, if you are a buyer and you are worried about AI, here's what I want to tell you. If your employment starts to feel unstable or you're unsure of your job prospects, then just slow down. Make sure that your income is secure before you buy anything. Now, most people in my industry are telling everyone you better buy now before it's too late. And I'm here telling you in a total contrarian tone to first make sure that you feel good about your job prospects before you do anything. Because the last thing you want to do, obviously speaking here, guys, is to get into something knowing that your industry is a little bit shaky or that your job prospects aren't that good, only to lose your job, and now you're on the hook for this very expensive mortgage month to month with no income to support it. Because at the end of the day, buying a home is supposed to help you create peace. You're no longer being joked around by a landlord. You've got something that's your own, that you're proud of. You're building your own equity, not causing you stress. So the media will tell you guys to try and time the market, or that there is a way to time the market. I'll tell you, after having helped people over the last 25 years that buy homes or invest into property, the people who usually win aren't timing anything. They just buy when they're ready. And that's what I always tell clients, guys. You buy when the timing is right for you, not when the media or someone else tells you that it's right. You're not gonna miss any boat, whether you buy next week, next month, next year, or 2 years from now. As long as that timing's right for you, then it is absolutely right. So yes, guys, in closing, California has become two separate housing markets. One remains incredibly competitive. The other is creating opportunities that we have not seen in years. The key isn't to ask, should I buy in California? The better question is, which California market actually fits me? And that is a completely different conversation, and one that I'm hoping you will be able to start a little bit better today after this video. So if you are wondering how you are going to fit into this market, whether you are looking to buy for yourself, you're looking to invest, you're looking to acquire a short-term rental or an Airbnb type property, you're relocating, just reach out to me and my team and we can help put together a plan for you. We'll run your numbers, create models and scenarios that make sense, and help you build a strategy that ultimately fits your financial goals, not just today's headlines. Now, guys, if you found this video useful, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel so that we can reach more people like you with content like this. And we are continuing the series, so make sure you stay tuned for the video that will follow this one as we get into the housing laws that are changing California real estate next.